Hello, and welcome to 5257 Westminster, right here in the Skinker de Balver Central West End neighborhood of St. Louis. This house is over 120 years old, having been built in 1901. It's in the Federalist style and shows a very formal front look. Indeed, even the entryway is around the side. And it's also similar to the home next door, with the two to the other side having a different style themselves. Looking at the house, see a few things. All of this, again, built in 1901, means it was obviously before air conditioning, so it was built with floor-to-ceiling windows in the front room, and these little balconies, which aren't really balconies, I guess. They're just places where one would have kept flower pots or something at the time. The door here is off of the side. And you can see, even though it's a side entry, it's quite a grand opening here. Lots of intricate millwork around this front door. This isn't the only door. There's also this little door here. This house is probably the first that I've featured on this channel that has a fully, what I'd call upstairs downstairs layout, where it was designed with a separate section of the house only for access by the servants. As we come in, you can see down here we have a door, that door which goes to the service hallway so that coats could be taken, and then leaded glass French doors here, opening up into the reception hallway. Original oak floors. Then we have a pillared archway here, which opens to the library. I'm not sure if that's what this room always was. You can see there's a porch out back too on this side, which probably would have been a more private space. And we'll see that around when we walk through the outside. And then as we come through into the main living room, you can see how these windows operate. These actually lift up. And I believe originally, it looks like they don't do this anymore, but on this one you can see a better example of it. They would have originally raised into the ceiling, into the wall itself, beyond the frame, to allow room to walk underneath them, and also to provide more ventilation. Paneling here. And looks like the original millwork on this fireplace. I'm thinking the stone may have been updated at some point. That looks a little bit more fashion forward than 1901. Now, though that front room is used for the living room and dining room both, in the original layout, this would have been the dining room. Hence the chair rail, large hanging chandelier, and bay window back here, which actually does have curved glass in it, which is really cool, and a curved radiator down below too. And now we pass into the downstairs, the upstairs, downstairs, the service section of the house. Now, obviously our lifestyles are different now, and this is more of the informal breakfast room as it's laid out now, but it would have originally just been for service. And as you can tell, because we have all of the original butler furniture in here. Butlerium, would that be the word to use? Love the original woodwork on that. And there's a washer and dryer hookup here, which is obviously not original. Pencil sharpener under that case. And there's a little half bath here. Not sure on the originality of that, but I guess there probably was a bathroom there at some point. As we come into the kitchen, you can see this has also been updated to be a place where you as the owner would love to be, not just a place for servants. Professional appliances and plenty of storage space. Again, and that's in addition to all the storage space that was in the butler pantry. Now, as we come back through, you can see we have the service stairs here, going to that second door that we looked at, which is currently not in use. And then as we ascend, you're on the second floor landing. And this house was designed very similar to many homes this era, where the rooms all interconnected, so if you wanted to, you wouldn't have to enter the main hallway. It obviously preserved heat and also privacy. I have a fireplace in this room. This would have been one of the bedrooms originally for the family. So this house was owned by the owner of the F.D. Candy Company, which then became the National Candy Company. So this house was built on suites. And he lived there, or the family lived there for much of the first half of the 20th century. I'm not sure how long after that. But obviously he would have made a fair amount of money at the World's Fair just after this house was built, or when this house was built. It's hard to tell when it actually was completed, because a house like this is never completed in the year that it's said to. Let's see the bathroom here. Nice travertine tile. And just take a look at this faucet on this old tub. Isn't that cool? That would be definitely original to 1901. Then we have this room, which is the present owner's suite. And has its own fireplace. And this is the owner's bathroom. Has double vanities. And a absolutely gigantic shower here. Have to give credit for having a shower installed too. Sometimes people compromise, put a small shower and a small bathtub in, and then aren't really happy with either one. Walk-in closet through here. And then you can get to the study, or the office here, directly from the owner's suite as well. So all of the rooms are interconnected, which is neat. But again, you can get to them as well through the hallway. So that's the door to the owner's suite, and then the other bedrooms are that way. Here's the stairs to the service half of the house. And as you can see, the main staircase goes up to the second floor as well. These probably were guest rooms or for extended family or something at one time. So again, this room here, it's a nice fireplace. Pretty much identical footprint to the room below, just a little bit plainer. Now, this room does have access to a bathroom. It's a little 4.5-foot tub, it looks like. And then as we come along here, this is the door that separates the service area from the house. And in this area, we have another linen closet here to hold the family's linens. And then this bathroom, which probably would have originally been for the maid, still has a very nice sink in it though. Again, clawfoot tub. And then these would have been the maid's rooms. And I will say this is a very good sized room, if that's what these were for. And because you have this other one here, which is absolutely gigantic for being on the service end of the hallway. I'm wondering if it may have been possibly a separate apartment. Sometimes there would have been a living room and bedroom if it was a couple, for instance, who worked in service. I didn't see any ads in the paper, but oftentimes higher-end properties where servants were recruited through agencies rather than through ads in the classifieds. So as we go down the service stairs, you can see by the kitchen, the floor here, we're back in the hallway to the kitchen. But we can go further down. And as we descend, we have access to the service basement. So this is where all the guts of the house would have been. So you have your wash tub and hot water heaters, things like that. Again, there would have been a toilet in here. You can see where that originally was. That would have been for probably gardeners and other people who come and go in and out of the house. Boiler room. And check out the archways. This house is built on brick arches and what have you. Then this bathroom, which obviously needs a little bit of work, but has a really cool sink. Definitely wanted to point that out. And then through here is another, I guess this would have been the pool room or something like that. You would have pool tables, games, and whatnot. So that's the basement. But we're not even done because we still have the outside of the house. Coming back through. This has seen a little bit more updating. Obviously, Trex decks weren't a thing in 1901. So here you can see that second porch with the grand pillars on it too. Little pond. And then we have a garage here, which I think was built later. If you look at this, it definitely has the vibe and the building materials of something that's from the late 30s through early 50s. And when I say that, you can see with this glazed style tile, which I remember in every 1950s school building I've ever been in. Very substantial for a garage, though. And there's also an apartment above. Coming upstairs, you can see more of this glazed tile. And these are concrete stairs. This is a very solid garage house. Walking in, we have the kitchen here. Again, kitchen, living room, I guess, or kitchen dinette. But you can see an older kitchen unit here, steel cabinet, which is why I'm kind of assuming this is from the 50s, because that's what that looks like. That's the era. Bathroom. Very nice shower. And then we have a quite large living area, bedroom area here. Alrighty. Well, I think that concludes the tour here. Thank you all very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And let me know, as always, if there's any other homes that you're interested in seeing. I'll end showing us the rear of the house here. Thank you very much.